Right, just so you know, this is a teaser, and it's teasing you teasingly to tell you
there's a postscript.
Right, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, hello, wherever you are, whenever it is. I'm Paul. Yet again, you probably already worked that out. I'm also called Knickknack, and you probably know that too. I do the daily teaser. I wrote the blog called Knickknacks Old Peculiar, and I'll try and throw in the links to the written version of this review up in the corner there. I will also try and put in the playlist that this is a part of. Just in case you didn't know, I do daily teaser, brain teaser quizzes. I talk about movies I've seen occasionally, and I should maybe catch one or two more. And I also talk about TV shows I'm watching. Just recently I've been watching Star Trek Picard's third and final series, and that's looking pretty damn good. But I'm also at the moment watching the third series of For All Mankind, the Apple TV Plus TV series. And I've got to admit that I am equally as impressed with this as I am with Picard. Last night was Sunday the 26th of February 2023, and last night was the date I saw the fourth episode of this series called Happy Valley. I thought I should tell you what I thought. Episode 4, Happy Valley, opens by showing us the Phoenix, the Helios-sponsored ship that's captained by Ed Baldwin, John Kinnaman, that's headed for Mars, and at the start of the episode is some 244 kilometres from Mars. Trailing behind it are NASA's Sojourner 1 craft, captained by Danielle Poole, Chris Marshall, and the Soviet Mars 44, with the Soviets a significant number of kilometres behind the two American ships. Ed is crying just a little as a result, as is his equally pleased boss, Devaisha, Eddie Gathegi. Is it Gathegi or Gathegi? I don't know. My apologies to you, sir, if I've got it wrong. At any rate, his character, Dev, is very aware that should the Helios ship land on Mars first, which they're due to do so far, if they get there first, his company is in for a very large cash prize, something he plans to split between every Helios staffer working on the project and on the ship. Danielle, captaining the Sojourner 1, is gracious in apparent defeat, with apparent second place, knowing perfectly well the Sojourner has a hidden advantage. The solar sail that Danielle orders Kelly, Cynthia Wu, to unleash solar sails that give the Sojourner 1 an 8-day lead in getting to the Red Planet means that Ed and his boss are distinctly unhappy bunnies. Dev is angry enough to force things to make sure that the Phoenix gets to Mars by any means necessary. Post-titles, we see that America is in turmoil, with news reports of protests, in particular outside NASA's Houston HQ. We see President Wilson, Jody Balfour, confronted by an especially snotty senator, one who will only approve her spending plans if she takes money out of NASA. Not something the former astronaut likes the sound of, but something her husband Harry, Nate Couldry, has a partial solution for. Given NASA's seemingly winning the race to Mars, a photo op in Houston seems to be the order of the day. Whilst that is getting arranged, and all the meanwhile, Kelly Baldwin, up on the Sojourner 1, is broadcasting a lot of music to her fellow crewmen on the Sojourner and to the crews of the Phoenix and the Mars 94, alongside an open invite to contact her and the Sojourner on a specific frequency if they feel the need to. What she doesn't expect is that one anonymous Russian crewman would contact her to let her know his colleagues are going to try something dangerous, something that will put them ahead of the game, something that can also easily kill everybody on the ship. Do you get the feeling that whatever it is going to end badly? Now, what did I think of Happy Valley? What on earth did I think of this episode? Can I make a confession? Something I use on the written versions of these reviews over on Knickknacks Old Peculiar, and not necessarily something I use here on the YouTube equivalent, is a rating system for film and TV shows. One that goes from 0 stars at worst, avoid it like the plague in other words, to, until recently, 4 stars at a maximum. 0 means literally avoid the film or the TV episode like the bloody plague. 4 stars, 4 of them, means go see it now. And yes, I know at the moment that means it's a 5-star rating system. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. But 5 stars, despite what you might counterintuitively think. But it was starting to sort of creak under the strain, that system, just a little. Sometimes you'd come across the absolute oddity at the top end of the range. And I found that top end recently when I watched an episode of Star Trek Discovery called Lift Us Where Suffering Cannot Reach. That episode demanded I make changes to my rating system. It literally was that bloody good. You should go see it. It really is quite a watchable series. There's a hell of a lot of depth to that one, so catch it if you can. But that's kind of beside the point. That one fantastic, fabulous episode of Star Trek forced me to introduce a 4-star plus rating. A very rarely used, even now with a recent introduction, very rarely used 4-star plus rating. That means watch this episode now, then tell your friends about it. It's a 4-star plus rating system that I immediately applied to a few other reviews, not just Lift Us Where Suffering Cannot Reach. I uprated my review of Wheatley's A Field in England. The Spielberg version of West Side Story got the same rating. The film versions of Terry Pratchett stories, The Amazing Maurice, and Troll Bridge. Troll Bridge is another one, by the way. Go see that. Bear that fact in mind. They're rare, but I needed to have just a little bit extra for one episode, or a very handful of episodes. Happy Valley is an extremely well-made piece of TV. As ever, it's an Apple TV Plus series. The design work is excellent. The individual spaceships are as distinct as you can imagine. They look like they're drawn from real-world ships. The Russian ship looks Russian. The Sojourner looks like a heavily modified space shuttle. The Helios, okay, we'll have a look at 2001 and point you at the wheel of space that you see in that. But again, it looks vaguely realistic. It's the writing of this episode, the story. The writing, again, is bloody superb on it. Everything hangs together very well. And frankly, the story that this episode tells us, the slice of the series that's unfolding and unravelling in front of us, is possibly one of the most riveting slices of TV I've seen in quite some time. And I'm watching quite a few good bits of TV at the moment. It is quite simply, it goes from a straightforward race to another planet and then twists quite nastily.
It's 21:45.
Thank you, Katie. It twists quite nastily into an interplanetary rescue mission with a lot of teeth and drama. One set of potential rescuers, Ed Baldwin's Helios crew, desperately wanting to help their fellow space travellers, only to be hampered by a boss that wants them to get to Mars first and hang all the consequences. The other set of potential rescuers, the Daniel Paul-led Sojourner crew, are bravely stepping up to the plate, only to crash into the Russian ship with at least 2 hands killed. One of them right as the credits roll, you literally see the camera fade to black as the chap's helmet caves in under the weight of a Russian spaceship. And you see him squashed, or see me squashed against the American one. It's done just as the credit rolls. That's one hell of a cliffhanger ending. It really is quite something. The performances themselves are equally as good. In between the script and the performance, look at it this way. The ensemble cast of For All Mankind are all pretty good. They are all competent, very good actors who do know their stuff. But I was very impressed. One, with Eddie Gathegi as Dev Aisha. I don't know if it's Gathegi or Gathegi. If someone could let me know. And my apologies go to the guy concerned, but if somebody could let me know how his name is pronounced, I would appreciate it. But I am watching, having my doubts about how his name is pronounced, but also watching his performance, and convinced that in between his performance and his decisions how to play the role as an actor, and in between the script, I am more and more convinced the character is very loosely based on Steve Jobs. His big speech at the start of this episode is very much another Steve note. His anger at being thwarted and his ruthless refusal to take part in any potential rescue has got me convinced of it. The guy was supposed to be utterly charming and utterly ruthless, so that's where I think they're coming from there. The real star of the episode, as far as I'm concerned, was Chris Marshall as Danielle. We know the character and the actress are competent. The character would not be on the mission, would not be leading the mission if she wasn't. But with Marshall's performance, we see that. We see a caring, competent, and utterly calm leader. Calm. That's the key point here. That's absolutely what I think a spaceship captain needs in this situation. A level head. And Chris Marshall plays it perfectly well. I have only one complaint about the episode, and it's not about Chris Marshall's performance. That is superb. It's a minor complaint about the episode. This episode is supposed to be set in an alternative 1992. It shows us Kelly Baldwin, the Cynthia Wu character, using a first or possibly second generation iPod. 1992, remember? The first and second generation iPods weren't actually released until 2001 at the very earliest, some 9 years after the show is supposed to be set. You'd think Apple would notice that little blooper, wouldn't you? At any rate, with all of that aside, and with all of that said, Happy Valley is a superb, beautiful episode. It is well worth watching, it is well worth me telling you about it, and it is well worth you watching and telling your friends about it as well. It's a 4-star plus episode if ever I saw one, and believe you me, I've seen a few. That leaves me with just my usual last words. Happy Valley is, quite frankly, one hell of an episode. It is superb, and it's one that raises the bar for this series very high indeed. Possibly up here somewhere. Just in case you wanted to see my armpits, but there we go. But it raises the bar very high. I will be watching, or will be hoping, a thing or two. Possibly at least one thing. I know for a fact I'm going to be watching the next episode of Star Trek Picard, 17 seconds, on the 3rd of March, this coming Friday. I will hopefully have my written and video reviews up by the 4th, this Saturday. Which is also my birthday, in case you wanted to leave some money in my tip jar. Big hint, it's up in the corner. So I will be watching that next episode and reviewing it on the 4th. I will be watching the next episode of For All Mankind on Sunday, the 5th of March. And I will have my written and video reviews up on the 6th, on Monday the 6th. I would love it if you care to join me. I would love it if you subscribed and hit the like button and maybe hit the notification bell as well. But I would love it if you join me next week. I will see you then. Take care, be good, have fun. Be seeing you. This is the postscript or footnote, if you want to put it like that way, but just to remind you that I'm making an assumption or two here. I'm assuming the Dev Aisha character was based on Apple's former and late co-founder and former CEO, Steve Jobs, ever since I saw the character introduced in episode 2. And I was, or would be somehow unsurprised to find that's the case. We could be looking at Aisha, and indeed Steve Jobs himself, as a villainous, evil person or people. But the impression I've formed over the years is that the likes of Steve Jobs, Richard Branson of Virgin is probably another one, as is any big head of a big successful company, are probably all much of a muchness. They don't end up heading multi-billion-dollar companies by being nice. Charming, maybe, because that always helps motivate people. Charming, yes. Nice, nah.